that awesome pink color to it, and it's super moist. There it is. Wow. I mean, wow. That right there is a flavoricious corned beef. Hey everybody, MrFlavorsmith here, and today we are going to do an Irish immigrant favorite, corned beef. I have a lot of Irish in me, and I love the flavor of corned beef. It's one of my very, very favorite dishes to make, but we are going to do it a little different today. We are going to throw it on the Weber 22-inch kettle with a Kamado ceramic conversion insert inside of there, and also an only fire rotisserie extension ring and a pan, just so we can get the meat a little bit further away from the heat source, but allow it to get a nice thick amount of smoke on it. I have never done this before, so I'm excited to do it, but I did do up 2 corned beefs yesterday in the kitchen, and they were amazing. Before we get cooking, we have to convert this over, so let's do that now. First things first, remove the lid. We're gonna remove the grill grate. We're gonna put our ceramic Kamado Japanese style conversion inside here. What this is gonna do is this is gonna hold, these ceramic stones are gonna hold the heat. It's gonna retain the heat, and it's gonna help stabilize our temperature so we don't get a lot of ups and downs on our temperature when we're adjusting our vents or anything like that. It's really an awesome system. I use it all the time. I highly recommend getting it for any smoking job you're gonna do. Then we're gonna take this vortex style charcoal basket. We're gonna put it in here just like this. This is gonna help us build our snake that we're gonna do inside here. Then we're gonna put our ceramic deflection stone inside here, just like this. So what that's gonna do is this, the heat that comes up, it's gonna hit the bottom of the stone, and it's gonna push out through these open areas, so it's not a direct heat. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you're gonna see I like using this 20-inch dish. It's a high carbon steel dish. I use it as a deflection plate just to give me even more heat deflection. And I found that it doesn't affect the amount of smoke that's on there. So we still get good penetration on our smoke, and I'll show you the reason why. This also doubles as an awesome drip tray. We're gonna cover it with foil, and that way the drippings just land on the foil, and it's very easy to pull off and clean off, and it's not stuck to your drip pan. We are then gonna take this only fire rotisserie pizza combo extension ring and put it on here just like that. Then we are gonna put our grill grate on top, just like that. Now our meat is elevated away from that heat source. The deflection pan I have in there brings that heat and that smoke up and over in this area, and we get a nice even heat. We don't get a lot of burnt spots or anything like that. There's not a lot of hot spots with this. We can obtain low and slow with this type of setup. Then we just put our lid on. Now it's time to take it apart and get the coals going. All right, and today we're gonna be using one of my favorite briquettes to use. It's very affordable, it gives off really good flavor profile, and it lasts a pretty long time. I did an extensive comparison with this brand and this particular model of hardwood briquettes against B&B's competition stuff and some Kingsford products. Fun fact, B&B and Cowboy brand are both owned by Duraflame Company. So it makes sense the reason why I like this brand so much. It's very similar to B&B, but it doesn't last as long. The briquettes are a little bit smaller. It doesn't have that nice boxy shape that B&B does, but it's a great, great all around briquette. I really do enjoy using this. And you can pick it up at a lot of different places. You can pick it up at like Walmart for, I think it's like 10 bucks or something like that. Let's open her up.
Oh yeah.
So what I like to do is I like to take some of these fire starters. Fire and Flavor makes these. You can pick these up at Walmart as well. A bunch of other places also. Amazon. I like to take 2 of these. They're just these little bio cubes, and I put one I stagger them just a little bit. Then I put our chimney back on, and then I use these Royal Oak tumbleweeds. I just take one of those. Now you don't need to do this, but I like to get things going. And I stick one right in the center, just like that. And we're only gonna do a half chimney on this because this is just to get our snake started. And you can use a regular lighter, but I like to cheat. All right, we'll give that about 10 minutes and the coals should get nice and ashed over and ready to go into our snake. Let's build that snake right now. All right, normally I use lump coal for this type of thing, but we're gonna try it this way. I haven't done it like this. Put a couple on one side, and then put a couple more on the other side. There we go. And then now we can kind of fill it in. And then we want to kind of flatten them down as best as we can, fill in all the spot, because we're going to put our wood chunks right in between here and everything, and we're going to put some more on there. And then we have to stay right below this lip that's here, because that's where our ceramic deflection plate is going to sit, and we can't have it pushing it up. All right, today we're going to be using Western Premium Barbecue Products, the Hickory Barbecue Cooking Chunks. I love using these. These work really great. And fun fact, Western is also a brand under the Duraflame company. So Western, Cowboy brand, and B&B all owned by Duraflame. Fun fact, I didn't know that until just the other day, and it just happens to be, this is some of my favorite stuff to use. I wanted to share this with you. A lot of my barbecue equipment is outside and it's under covers and things like that in my back patio, but these often are left outside. These boxes of the chunks are left outside. It gets in the rain and everything, the boxes start to fall apart. So I was trying to think, like, what could I do that was an affordable solution to this, to where I could store this outside and not get these things just, you know, waterlogged and the boxes get a whole bunch of black widows and stuff in there when I put my hands in there. And I came up with this. I went to my local hardware store, big hardware store, and I got a 5-gallon bucket. And this was only like $2. And then they have these lids that go on there that are screw off lids. So I feel that this is pretty perfect. You could stick 2 full boxes of those chunks in there. I'll do this, push this down. Woo-hoo! Look at that. And now I can have one for each flavor of wood. I'm loving it. Oh yeah. Just another couple more minutes. I want to get those nice and hot. They're about done. About 2 more minutes. All right, our coals are ready. It's been about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. Just so we don't burn ourselves, put on some gloves. I like to shake it just a little bit, get all the loose stuff out. Bring it on over, pour it on in. All right, now we do some housekeeping with our tongs. And to be fair, I don't think we need all of these, so we're gonna put some of these back. We're gonna go get the meat ready now, which is just taking it out of the bag, rinsing it off, and putting our rub on there. So we're gonna close the lid on this. All right, we're gonna close this to 1/4 of the way open. That way it's still breathing, but it's not crazy hot. Our bottom vent, we're gonna close to 1/2 the way open. That way it's gonna get to temperature nice and quick while we get all this going. All right, so this is a 3.8 pound corned beef. So it's been sitting in its juices and everything, that nice wet brine, for probably weeks actually. And it didn't have the spices. Some of them will have the spices all mixed in everything, and then some of them will have the packet. I like the ones that have the packet separate, because we're not gonna use this right now. We're gonna use this later when we go to do the braise. Now, I don't know if you need this really, if it really needs a binder or not, but I used this yesterday on a couple that I did. I didn't smoke it, and this stuff was awesome. It's just a stone ground, like deli style mustard. I am gonna use that as a binder right now. So we're gonna put that on here. And we're just gonna rub that in. Like I said, don't know if this is exactly, you know, necessary, but man, it sure did taste good yesterday. So we'll do it again today. And you know what, we're gonna do the other side too. Just rub it in everywhere we can. Get it on the sides and everything. Doesn't need to be a whole lot, just something. All right, now we're gonna throw a few different things on there. First things first, we're gonna do a little ground mustard. We're just gonna coat it. No need to really measure, just coat. And we're gonna do fat cap down. Then we're gonna use a little, and maybe just kind of pat that around just a little bit, push it in. And then we're gonna use some onion powder, same type of thing. Nothing crazy here. We're gonna do some ground coriander. Same thing. This one comes out of it a little bit harder. Get aggressive. Okay, some granulated garlic. A little bit of yellow mustard seeds. Push it in. All right, now we'll flip it over and do the presentation side, the fat cap side. Same thing. That was the ground mustard. This is the onion powder. Now the ground coriander. Oh, stuff's got a really great aroma to it. Love coriander. Some granulated garlic. Last but not least, some yellow mustard seeds. You probably don't want to stay on there, but so push it on in there. That smells amazing. Now we're just going to take this, just like this. We're going to kind of get that end piece, all the leftovers. Good enough. All right, let's get it on the grill. All right, I just want to point out, we didn't apply any salt to this because this has been setting in a wet brine that's super, super salty. And if we put any salt on the exterior, it's just gonna be too salty. Once we put it into the braising and everything, it's gonna pull some of that salt out of there, and our potatoes and everything are gonna absorb that and be really, really tasty. All right, before we get it on the grill, we have to probe it up. We are gonna be using our Tyfer Dual Gold Series sink. It's an amazing little system, just makes any type of cooking with meats so enjoyable. So we're just gonna turn it on, just on button right here. All right, and then it's gonna ask us to remove a probe. Probe number 1, we're just pulling that out, and we're gonna stick that right in the very, very center, just like that, all the way up to the black point, just like that. First things first, we are gonna set our desired temperature. It says 57 right now. We're gonna set our desired temperature to 170, okay, manual. 210 right now. Let's go down to 170, okay? And that will be normally historically around where the stall is at. And then from that point, we're gonna take it off of here, and then we're gonna wrap it up in foil and everything and finish cooking it. So we're looking for 170 of internal temperature. All right, now it's time to reassemble this. Gloves. We're gonna put these little chunks in place now. Right there, right there. Heat deflection plate right here. Just like that. Here's our other heat deflection plate, our 20-inch high carbon steel one. All right, so I forgot to foil it, so we're just gonna throw this on here just like this. This will catch everything. We're already smoking. Center it as best as you can. Now we'll put our rotisserie extension on there. Just like that. Put our grill grate on. Just like that. Now we'll put the meat on. There we go. Put our corned beef on there. And go just like this. So our heat source is right here, and I'm putting our temperature over here, okay? It's gonna roll over, and we're gonna put our vent over here. Let's put our lid on. Make sure we're fully closed. Okay, and because the snake is right here, it's hot and cooking right here, we're gonna wanna put our vent on the opposing side. So just opposite from it. That way the hot air and the smoke have to travel up and over the meat and then out through the holes over here. We call that our control vent. And this is at 1/4 of the way open. Let me show you right now. Our control vent is 1/4 of the way open. And let's go show you the bottom vent. And down here I have a couple different markings, okay? This one means fully open. This little upside down T means halfway. And there's a dot right there. That means 1/4 of the way. We're gonna put this all the way to fully open for now. And then our top vent, our control vent, will be 1/4 of the way. All right, so we got a lot of smoke coming out. It's not quite to a clean smoke yet. We have an ambient temperature of 170 degrees Fahrenheit, if you can see that right there. I'm sorry, no, we have an ambient temperature of 123 degrees Fahrenheit and an internal temperature of 51 degrees Fahrenheit. So over here, this one reads nice and low too at this point in time, but this is gonna pick back up in a few minutes once it's closed. We'll come back in 30 minutes. All right, so I'm not 100% sure on this, but it's been my findings that when you have a dirty smoke, what I believe it to be is that the wood chunks have not gotten to a temperature yet that is hot enough. Because I've noticed that when I start seeing the smoke clean up, it's usually an ambient temperature of around 215 degrees. And then by the time it hits like 240, it's a really clean smoke. So I'm not sure if that's true, but it's been my personal experience. So it makes sense as this starts to get hotter and the ambient temperature rises that we're gonna end up seeing a cleaner burning smoke out of there. But hey, that's barbecue. Oh my gosh, I almost messed up everything. I forgot to do this. If you know, you know. All right, we're just about 33 minutes right now. We have an ambient temperature of 237 degrees with an internal temperature on the meat at 76 degrees. Our smoke is just a very nice, low, slow, clean smoke coming out of there. Like I said, I strongly feel that once the ambient temperature gets from like 210, 220 and above, you start to get a cleaner burning smoke. We do have a lot of wood in there, and so that has not burned up fully yet. It just has that wood chunks have gotten to a temperature to where they just kind of smolder away instead of burn so much. And I also think the lack of the oxygen inside the chamber helps out with that as well. I'm gonna monitor these temperatures, and we're sitting right at just below 240 right now. And if it gets any higher, then I will close that bottom vent, but that bottom vent is fully open and our top vent is still at it's 1/4 of the way open. That is our control vent, and it is working perfect. So it is holding these temperatures very, very consistent. I am very pleased with this as always. So what I'm thinking now is we're gonna come back probably in an hour from now. So we will have a cook time of 1.5 hours. I'm gonna run to the store real quick and go grab some carrots. All right, here's something fun. Do you know the reason why this is called corned beef? It's really interesting. If you do, leave it in the comments below. I wanna see your answers. All right, look at that. 1 hour and 30 minutes into it. We have an internal temperature. That's right there, of 120 with an ambient temperature of 256. We have a very nice, low, rolling, clean smoke coming out of our top vent right there. Let's check it out 1.5 hours into the cook and see what this looks like. Oh, looks pretty corned beefy. All right, let's check it out. Up and close. Wow, look at that. Ooh. Looking pretty yummy. This smells amazing. I think pairing it with this hickory wood chunks is gonna be absolutely awesome. Does it look like it's drying out? Well, here's the deal. Because it was in salt for so long, brining in salt, I imagine we're just gonna see it look a little drier than normal. But I don't think we really need to spritz this. I think that's gonna be part of this because it's gonna be sitting in juices for another hour and a half or something. So, all right, well, let's get that ambient temperature back up to where it needs to be. We're looking for a target temperature of 170, so we're getting pretty close. We're at 40 degrees off, 50 degrees off, do the math. Let's close it back up and we'll wait till it hits 170. All right, so back to why do they call it corned beef? Well, it turns out it was the British that actually did their version of a corned beef, and when they did that wet brine, the salt that they used, the little cluster of crystals that they used, they called that little cluster a corn, hence corned beef. Pretty awesome, right? I thought it was for a totally different reason. It's very interesting. It is not a true Irish dish. It is more of an Irish American immigrant dish. Why is it an immigrant dish? I don't believe they really had a lot of beef brisket over in Ireland. I'm not 100% sure. When they came over here, it was one of the cheapest cuts of meat anybody could get. Brisket was something that needed to be cooked low and slow, and it was perfect for barbecue, or low and slow in a pot with a bunch of beef broth and some vegetables and some cabbage and everything. And the cabbage came from the Jewish immigrant influence because the Irish immigrants and the Jewish immigrants lived within the same communities. And so the Jewish brought over the cabbage into the dish, which is a pretty interesting fact. All right, our snake is looking like it's somewhere right here. So we're gonna put our vent opposite. We're gonna put our vent right here. Make sure we're sealed up real good all the way around. And we're gonna keep the bottom vent fully open. It's been doing really good. We're gonna keep our top vent at a quarter of the way. Should get us around the 245-ish to say 260 range. So it'll take some time for it to stabilize. Only take about 15, maybe 10, 15 minutes for it to stabilize its temperature and get right back on pace. So we are gonna come back when our internal temperature is reading right at, oh, we just lost it. When our internal temperature is reading closer to the 170. We're at 122 right now. So once that reads 170 or around there, we'll come back, which might be, it's saying to get to 170, it's predicting with the current ambient temperature and everything for it to be about an hour and 20 minutes. Earlier, it said only about an hour and 5 minutes. So once the ambient temperature goes back up in about 10, 15 minutes, that estimated time for it to hit 170 will diminish in time. I bet you it'll probably take about 45 minutes to get to 170 at this point. All right, 2 hours and 44 minutes into this cook right now. We have an ambient temperature of 247 degrees Fahrenheit with an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's the deal. I don't want to be here a whole evening, so I'm gonna bump up the heat. We're gonna open the top vent all the way, and we're just gonna see what happens. Hopefully we can get somewhere around the 275, and it'll probably get closer to 300, to be honest with you. I want to get this internal temperature at least up to like 160 as quick as I can right now, because I want to get it all put in the roasting pan and start braising ASAP. Let's just take our top vent. Let's open it up all the way. Let's really get that smoke coming out of there, rolling out of there. It's a lot better. Yeah, that's going to give us, it's going to increase the temperature pretty quick here. Let's just check our bottom one real quick. Yeah, so we're still at fully open, but this is something else you can do too. If you start seeing things are acting a little wonky and the temp starts lowering the ambient temperature, just move your fins back and forth. What this does is this opens up the vents on the bottom there, pushing all the ashes aside. So you've got better airflow through the bottom all the way up to the top, up and over and out the top vent. It's a good habit to just get into if you see that your temperatures are going down. You're like, what's going on? Usually it's too much ash buildup on those bottom vents. Let's give that like 10-15 minutes and see what that does to the temperature. All right, here it is, 3 hours and 38 minutes. We have an internal temperature of 159 degrees, an ambient temperature of 297. Now it's been floating around from 297 to about 305 for about the last half hour. I did open up the top vent fully because I wanted to get this going. Let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh man, it's looking really good. Look at that. Ooh, fat is rendering, the juices are coming down into that bottom pan right there. Oh, look at that. It's got a really good color to it too. Wasn't really anticipating that. Wow, it does look good. Photo time. Okay, so I think now it's time to go ahead and pull this and take it to the next step. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna grab it as quick as I can and put it right into here. So I don't have any cotton gloves on underneath these. So we're just gonna go quick. There we go, just like that. All right, this next step's real easy. We're gonna take low sodium beef broth and we are gonna pour that in here. The reason why we're using low sodium is because if we used regular sodium beef broth, this is already got salt impregnated throughout the entire thing. It's been in a wet brine for probably a couple of weeks, in a salt brine. And so it's really salty. So we want to use a low sodium. It's going to pull out some of that salt and it's not going to over salt everything, but it's great to use this stuff. And I love using Swanson's. Shake it up real quick. We are just going to pour this in there all around, just like this. Okay. Just like that, about that much right now. We're gonna take a couple of these bay leaves. We're gonna put a couple bay leaves in there. And these are just dry bay leaves. We're just gonna throw a few in there. Perfect. This is the seasoning pack that came with this corned beef. We're gonna open that up and we're gonna put that contents inside the broth. Put a little bit around, just kind of mix it all around. It's going inside there. This is what is gonna help give the flavor to all of our carrots and our potatoes that we're gonna put in there. Mix up a little bit, get a little bit in there. Perfect. And we just have a bag cut up, small baby potatoes, red potatoes. And then we have some little baby carrots as well. And we're just gonna start with a couple of potatoes kind of going around in there. Just like this. And we'll do a few carrot. Go around. Now we'll do more potatoes. All these potatoes in there. I think we can. Push it all down in there as best as possible. Ooh, look at that. We were able to get it all in there. Awesome. And we're going to top it off with the remainder of the low sodium beef broth. And that gets us that full roasting pan. Now we're going to take some aluminum foil. We're going to cover it. All right, and now we're gonna stick it back on the barbecue. The lid has been off the barbecue for the past few minutes as we've been doing this, so that's introduced a lot of oxygen into the barbecue, so the coals should be really, really hot right now. So we're gonna put this back in there. Go, just like this. Looks like our heat source is coming from over here. We're on our last hour and a half or so of our snake coals, our coal snake. Let's put the lid back on. And since our heat source looks like it's coming from over here, we're gonna put our vent onto this side and just make sure we have it all sealed off really good. Just like that. Now we're just gonna be watching what our Typher thermometer says, and that's what we're going to take everything off of. So right now it's saying there's an internal temperature of 155 degrees Fahrenheit, and then the ambient temperature right now it says 71, but that's because we just put that liquid in there, so it's reading that. So it's going to take some time for that to get up. I guess right now we don't really need to worry about the ambient temperature. It is under the water in there. So what we will be looking at is this temperature right here. That's going to give us our most accurate reading. And right now it's reading at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. I think what we'll do, if I don't see that get much higher, we'll probably bring it inside and put it in the oven and crank up the heat. All right, so right at 4 hours and 11 minutes, I took it out of the barbecue and I stuck it in the oven because I realized that the ingredients I put in there were not warm at all. They were cool. They were room temperature, but it was still a lot cooler than everything else in there, especially that liquid. That beef broth was outside here, sitting outside, but it's still a lot cooler than the meat. And so I didn't want it to stall the meat out. So what I did is I put the oven at 425 degrees and I just stuck it in there. And what my goal is, I still have the meat probe in there and everything. I want that to really heat up as quick as it can because I want to push through with this. I don't want this to take 6 hours. I've got a lot of things I have to do first thing early in the morning tomorrow, and tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. So I've got fun stuff to do with the kids before I go to work. So I really need this to go quick. So I'm just going to monitor it and see how long it's going to take us to actually get this to the temperature we need it to be at about 208 degrees Fahrenheit. But the barbecue process is done. All right, well, I tell you what, it's been just over 5 hours, like 5 hours and 10 minutes. Our internal temperature is at 208 degrees. I put it in the oven. I started it for the first half hour at 425 degrees Fahrenheit just to really get all of that liquid and all the potatoes and the carrots and everything above room temperature and going quick because I didn't want it to take 3 hours for this to happen. So I ran it at 425 for 30 minutes and then I bumped it back down to 350 for the remainder of the time. And I've slowly but steadily saw the internal temperature rise and rise and rise. We just hit 208 degrees. So why don't we go in, pull it out of the oven, see what it looks like, and then bite into this. I can't wait. All right, so like I said, a little over 5 hours on this cook. I tell you what, It's made the house smell amazing. I had family just walk through the front door and was like, wow, what are you doing? It smells all barbecuey. I'm like, that's a barbecued corned beef. So now is the time. I have to be honest with you. My wife, she just took a bite of it before me and she was all, it's amazing. So let's just see if that's true. I tell you what's really cool about this, if you can see this, is that awesome pink color to it, and it's super moist, super moist. I did some yesterday, a little bit different. I didn't do it in the smoker, low and slow, but I tell you what, doing that low and slow helps it retain its moisture for sure. This is super moist. Let's bite in though. There it is. Wow. I mean, wow. That right there is a flavoricious corned beef. I'm amazed by this. I just love everything smoked. When you flavor stack like this, let's talk about this real quick. How did we flavor stack this? Well, this was a wet brine, very salty piece of meat to begin with. There's flavor stack number one, okay? Number two, we put all those awesome different spices on there. Flavor stack number two, all right? And then third, we smoked it with hickory. Flavor stack number three. I tell you what, this is amazing. You are gonna love it. And what's really cool is how we were able to take that smoked piece of meat and then stick it in a roasting pan and braise it with, and add the liquid in there and everything, and then put the potatoes and the carrots in there, and then put that little packet of the corned beef seasoning in there. It made, these things are amazing. Look, here's a potato. There's a potato. Let's give that a shot. It has so much flavor. Little baby carrot. Let's give that a shot. Super soft, everything. Oh my God, so good. So good. Guys, I hope you got value out of this. And if you did, please do me a huge favor. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me produce more valuable, flavorful content like this for you in the future. And do me a big favor. Have a very happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you catch that little sneaky leprechaun. Until next time, live a life of flavor.